All right, what is up, you guys? Welcome back. We're here into the shop. It is early November, and we've got an awesome little segment planned for you guys today. Now, recently we did one about trolling and more so about the baits and strategies and stuff like that. But as we get closer into late fall, and there's a reason I'm really focusing on trolling as we're getting into this time of year, because typically this time of year, trolling is one of the best ways to catch walleye, whether you're on Saginaw Bay, Lake St. Clair right here in the backyard, or Lake Erie. Being able to put out multiple rods, it's freezing cold. You don't necessarily want to be out casting or up on your trolling motor all day. When you're trolling, you can kind of sit back, put your hands in your pockets, and kind of enjoy your day. So that's why we've been focusing on trolling. You can also run way more rods. You can get out there. Here in Michigan, we're allowed 3 rods per person. So you can get out with, 3 guys and run your 8 rod spread. You got 4 guys, you can run your 10, 12 rod spread if you really want to. That's more than I would run. Typically, we kind of cut it off at 8. But you get way more lines in the water. You can cover a lot more water that way. And you can try a lot different baits, different color patterns, different bait profiles, everything like that. So as we get later into the year, we're going to kind of focus on that trolling bite. And one thing that we really want to talk about is an app that can change the way that you troll. So for most of you guys that fish and most of you guys that know, the Precision Trolling app is one of the best tools that you can have in your box as a walleye angler. Now, it does a few things, but what it does specifically is it gets your baits in the strike zone. It puts your baits at a level that you're confident knowing that you at least have a chance to get bit. So if you're trolling in 16 foot of water and you're noticing a lot of those marks, swooshes, whatever you call them, but you notice a lot of fish are sitting in that, 10 to 12 foot of water. Well, that means you need to get your baits down into that like 12 to 7 foot of water, because you want to run your baits over these walleyes' heads. These walleyes feed eating up, and it's well known in the industry that if you bring a bait below a walleye that's feeding up, you'll totally shut that fish down. They don't like it at all. They have no interest in eating the fish. So you want to stay above the fish. So you want to pay attention to your graph, see where you're marking those fish, and then use this app that we're going to dive into to really dig into dialing in your presentation and getting those baits right in the strike zone. So I'll pull it up right here on my phone. I've got it up. And it's the Precision Trolling app. So it looks like this right here. It's got that little logo in the corner. So you'll click on that and it'll bring you up into this app where you'll see, everything. Now, I paid $120 for the lifetime. I think that's the way to go, especially if you can spend the money. Every bait that ever comes out again that's uploaded onto this app, I will have. So basically any sort of trolling or lipped bait is on this app. So it's a really nice app to have, but you can buy them per lure. So if you're someone that only trolls bandits, or, maybe you don't troll a lot and, you only go out a few times a year and you only have bandits and flicker minnows. Well, it might not make sense to buy the entire app, because you can buy each one, I believe, for like $2.99. It's like $3 or $4 to buy one lure. And so just buy the bandit or just buy the flicker and at least, get your toes wet. And if it's something that you like and something that you want to keep doing, then you can buy the full app. But what we really like about this app is, one, all the different baits it has. I'll scroll for a second just so you can kind of see everything. Get it right in the camera there. But you can just see all the different options they have. Now, I'm going to scroll all the way up to bandit here. And you can see right here, I have the bandit walleye 5/8 ounce. You can see the heart over there. That's one of my favorite lures that I put on here. We run a lot of bandits, obviously. So I'll pull that up and you'll see right here all the information on the app. So right here, it's got the line size. It's got your feet down and feet back. And I'll show you kind of how we work with that. But one really important thing is the line size right here. Notice that it says Berkley Trilene XT. It's this blue box right here that you'll see in stores. Berkley Trilene XT. It's an extra tough, and it's a little bit thicker in diameter than, say, the red box, like the XL. So more so than the pound itself, 10 pound, you want to find the line diameter. So you want to look right down here, right above my finger. There's a spot that says line diameter. And I don't even know if you can see this on the camera because it's very small. but it says 0.014 of an inch. So it's 14 thousandths of an inch. So what you want is anything that's equivalent to that. Now, obviously, this is a really good line. People really like it. This here is also from Trilene. This is their big game. A lot of guys like running this big game. It's one of my favorite lines to run. This here specifically is a 12 pound. But if you look right there, even smaller, it's 0.014 of an inch. It's 14 thousandths of an inch. So you want to get the proper line diameter. And the reason that that's important is it will change how your baits dive, and it will change their dive curve a little bit. So the guys that created this app put a ton of time and energy into doing this. Mark and Jake Romanak and that crew over there at Fishing 411, they put a lot of time into this app, and they hand test all of these lures. They've got a really cool video on YouTube that you can actually go check on how they test these lures, where they have a scuba diver underwater. And now with the Panoptics, and as the technology gets better, they can use that as well. But they put a diver in the water with a huge yardstick, and they're marking out where these baits are coming by their face. So now we can kind of get into it. So say you're fishing in that, like we just said, 16 foot of water, and you're marking those, or 14 foot of water, whatever, and you're marking those fish at about 12 feet down. So I want to run my baits at, say, 10 feet. Well, you'll go over here to the feet down, you'll select 10, and right there it'll tell you that you need 32 feet of line out to reach 10 feet down on this bandit right here. So if you're running these bandits, any of these bandits, 5/8 deep divers, if you want to get it 10 feet down, you'll run it 32 feet back. Say I'm fishing a little bit deeper and I want to get it 14 feet down. Well, I'll scroll this to 14 feet, which should be right there. Yep. And I need it 52 feet back. So you notice that dropping only 4 feet down, you want to go from 10 feet down to 14 feet down. You know, you've got to let out an extra, what is that, 20 feet of line? 10 feet was 32, 14. So to get an extra 2 feet down, you want to let out 10 feet. That's not always the case. So you always want to check with the app. You know, say I want to get this bandit 20 feet down. Well, I got to let it 117 feet back behind the board. So that can really just let you know where you're going to put your baits to keep them in that strike zone. Now here I've got a few of my favorite baits. I've got the new Rapala Gold Miners, this big bodied bait here, the Bill Lewis PWC, another big bodied bait, and then a Flicker Minnow 11. It's a longer style bait, but a much skinnier profile. So I really enjoy using these baits. They're the best for me personally. And all of these are on here. So now, for example, I will scroll down here to Berkeley. There's the Berkeley section there. I will scroll to my Flicker Minnow 11, and I want to get my Flicker Minnow 11 feet down. Boom, let it out 47 feet. Life's good. I can easily create a spread out there and run my baits from 35 feet back to 50 feet back between the 4 that I'm running on my side. My buddy's got 4 over on their side, or 3 baits over on their side. And you can easily cover the water column while running different colors. And you can have confidence knowing that your bait is in the bite zone. A lot of the reels that we're using have line counters. So as long as they're dialed in, or at least close to dialed in, you can get these baits right in the strike zone. Here's a really cool thing about the app that not a lot of people know about. If you have the app, you do. But what if you're fishing Lake Erie and you're fishing 50 foot of water? How can I get a bandit 50 feet back? Well, you're never going to be able to free line at 50 feet back. So the app has something really cool involved in it that you can go right here to where the Berkeley is. It says Berkeley baits here. You'll click on Berkeley line, and then you can scroll. So you're going to scroll to this 50 plus 2-ounce tadpole. That's a very popular, and they've got a couple other options in here. They've got a Dacron lead core leader. They've got Berkeley Fireline if you like to troll with braided line. They also now have a 50 plus 3T, which is a 50 plus 3 with the tadpole, but we're going to focus specifically on the snap weights. That's one of the easier ways to do it. Offshore has a system. It comes with a 2-ounce snap weight with a clip. So the 50 plus 2 is an easy method because you're going to do 50 foot, and then you're going to snap on. So you're going to let 50, you're going to tie your lure. Oh my goodness. You're going to tie your lure on. You're going to let your leader back 50 feet. You're going to snap on that 2-ounce snap weight. And then depending where you're at, so if I want to get this bait 34 feet down, I need to let it out 98 feet. Well, I've already let it out 50 feet and snapped my weight on. So I'm going to let it out another 48 feet to get to my total of 98 feet. And my bandit will be running in that 34-foot strike zone for those fish. A big reason is they know exactly where that weight is going to be running. If you come on here and you scroll to the offshore section, which I need to find right here, you'll actually see that they have all the snap weights and everything. So like in the spring when we're fishing for salmon, I'll use the snap weights to let me know where my snap weight's going to be running. And then I can kind of decide where my leader is going to be for that salmon. Same thing for the walleyes. You can click right here, 2-ounce snap weight, and it'll tell you that if you've got your 2-ounce snap weight 12 feet back behind the board, you'll be fishing about 19 feet down. So it can combine with where the snap weight's going to be, also where the lure is going to be, and it can tell you to get into that deeper strike zone. Now, I'm not saying this is a must-have, guys. You can go out there and catch fish. You won't have any issue doing it. I'm going to scroll back up to the bandit here. But I am telling you that if you do want to get into trolling and you do want to have a lot more success and dial in your bites a little bit better, the Precision Trolling Walleye app is one of the best ways to go. I highly recommend it to all my customers that are coming in here, especially the ones that are getting into trolling. Because, you know, when you're fishing those shallower waters, like especially Lake St. Clair, and you're up in the bay in Saginaw Bay, it's not as difficult. You can get your lures back and get them down. But as you get into those deeper waters or those more finicky bites, or you are out on Lake Erie fishing that deep, deep water, you really want to know where your lures are running. You really want them to be in the strike zone to kind of capitalize on those bites. And that's just one little tip that I can give you guys. And hopefully it helps put more fish in the water. We'll see you next time. Tight lines.